All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Greg Blevins. I'm with EDAC Systems, and thank you for joining us for the IBML session of EDAC's Document Imaging and Management Expo. The title of IBML session is Reimagining Document Intake, Practical AI Strategies for Smarter Capture and Metadata Governance. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to type them in the chat, raise your hand, and IBML will get to them towards the end of the session. With that, I will turn it over to IBML.
Hey, Greg, thank you so much. Hopefully you all can hear us well. Give me a thumbs up, Greg, just to make sure that we are doing good in terms of audio. Great to speak to you all. Good afternoon. My name is Sushil John. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at IBML, and along with me is Ken Wallace. Ken?
Yeah, Solutions Engineer. So kind of on the technical side, and I'll be assisting Sushil today.
He's my more learned colleague. He's the one you should be trusting today. I'm a marketing guy. You know what marketing guys tell you, right?
Right.
But what we're going to talk about today is empowering records management with AI-powered document processing with very specific focus around the capture process itself. Some of you in the audience may be existing customers of IBML, and you know IBML already and are familiar with IBML, but some of you aren't. So just for the benefit of those who aren't familiar with IBML, I have 2 slides in my deck just to introduce who IBML is. But in case you didn't know, the one thing that we are very famous for is what you see behind me, the IBML Fusion Scanner. They are the world's fastest scanners, world's fastest document scanners that can scan up to 720 pages per minute speeds and help you digitize massive amounts of documents to digital information itself for your organizations. But with that, let me jump into a little bit about who IBML is. At IBML, we offer the world's most advanced intelligent document processing solutions that both in terms of hardware, software, and services that helps our customers digitize documents first, but not only digitize our powerful AI-powered intelligent document processing software, which we call today IBML Cortex. We're going to talk more about it. Helps you capture information from those documents itself, whether those documents are structured documents, semi-structured documents, or unstructured documents. We really help customers reduce operational costs, improve turnaround times, eliminate tedious manual processes that are all adding up to costs, adding up to inaccuracies within their processes, and help eliminate. We are typically customers use us for mission-critical processes. What do I mean by mission-critical processes? Typically, if a document doesn't get scanned or doesn't get digitized, or if data from a document isn't extracted and made available to business processes, that business process doesn't move forward. And if that's very critical part of your entire business processes, IBML is the world's most popular solution for that type of situation, for those type of mission-critical applications. We are usually present in the world's largest organizations, whether it is government, banking, financial services, business process outsourcers, insurance companies, or healthcare companies. And you can see there, this is one of my favorite slides to just show off all the great customers that we have. And I'm sure many of you in the audience are also our customers. And this is what we do for the world's largest customers itself. Let's keep moving on. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to get a little bit into AI and how AI is helping the intelligent document processing space itself. This is a journey we started almost 18 months ago, I want to say, and we started looking into the market and seeing how AI is helping our space specifically, and what can IBML do to help our customers accelerate their plans in AI. As we looked at research reports, there are multiple research reports out there. I've just quoted a few here. But what showed really in terms of state of AI and implementation of AI for production applications was quite amazing. Back then, it was even more lower in terms of implementation. But even now, you can see, although many organizations, almost every organization, especially if you're a large organization like a typical IBML customer, you are probably using AI for some kind of pilot project or the other. But not a lot of those projects were really put into production for various reasons. trust being one of them. And are they really capable? How can we make sure this is secure? How can we make sure? So many questions in our customers' mind that kind of put these projects in pilot. They realized what benefit sometimes they can get, or sometimes when they implemented AI, they also realized that, hey, this is great, but it's really not working for the high volume of data and high volume production capabilities that we need. Then we saw another interesting research report that came out of AIM itself that said that more than 78% of enterprises are already operational with AI and are looking for, and 66% of them are looking for new IDP projects, which means new intelligent document processing projects, where they're looking to actively replacing their legacy IDP software. That was very interesting. And then as we dive deep into it and looked at the use of AI in our space, the good news really is IDP is one of those few places where that's already happening, and we have really good production use cases. And as we dive deeper into the product and the demos here today, you'll see how you can put it to use today for high-grade production class applications within your businesses itself. So what we did was we did a very detailed voice of customer survey across a number of our customers, more than 50 customers we have done VOCs with today. And we asked them, hey, what are the areas that you think we as IBML, for what we do for you today, can help you with in this process? And they said, hey, we are still, in spite of all the automation that you guys offer and all the automation that is there with current legacy IDP software, we're still struggling with some of these areas. One, manual document separation. So irrespective of any kind of production environment, we are still inserting separator sheets, preparing documents before we can actually feed it through a scanner to make sure we can capture these documents properly or create the boundaries between documents. The second part of it was classification accuracy. Yes, IDP software has classification capabilities today, but it's not that accurate. There's still a significant part of the work that's not straight through processing, and we need to put a lot of manual effort to make sure that it passes through classification. What more? Any change in forms, any change in document types, the ability to add those document types or add those new forms or new documents that are coming by in the business process was quite painful and quite dependent, highly dependent on vendors who provide those technologies itself. The third aspect that we were really surprised with is because OCR technology has been around for such a long time, and yet with all the technology that's there, a good percentage, in fact, many of our clients had hundreds of headcounts associated with manual data capture, whether it was inshore, offshore, double data entries, whatever methodologies. They were using multiple of these capabilities to just make sure all the data from these documents were being captured right. A lot of our customers said that handwriting recognition is still a problem. That's one of the reasons why they have to use manual data capture, and that was still a big problem for them. The last one was with their current solutions, it's hard to set up and adapt to change itself. So it was difficult for them to adapt to change as new documents came in, or even within the same document types, there was a shift in the form during the printing process or something. The whole process went haywire and they had to train a whole new different type of document for those kind of use cases. All of this added frustration, time delays, delayed return on investments with IDP projects, and these were all frustrations that some of our customers were dealing with. So what we'll do next is jump into each one of these things and see how AI tries to solve some of these problems today itself in the demo that Ken is going to show us today. So manual document separation, what do we mean by that? Typically, every document is a mixed packet. Unfortunately, they are not all A4 pages. Some of them have envelopes, some of them have checks, some of them have receipts, some of them have small documents in it, some of them have extra long documents in it. It's a mixed container of type of paper that's there in these documents, and they need to be prepared in a certain way. And because of that, not all documents are also, not every document is 10 pages, right? Sometimes a document is 5, sometimes it is 10, sometimes it is 26, and sometimes it is 78, right? How do you identify the boundaries depending on that particular document? So typically today, many of our customers are involved in manual document separation. What does that mean? They are either inserting a blank sheet or they're inserting a separator sheet with barcodes that can help them distinguish this is the beginning of a document, there's a big end of the document, and calculate and capture some information from those patch sheets itself or those separator sheets itself that is going to help them understand what's following that particular separator sheet. So all of this means that you need to train people manually to identify the boundaries of documents, help them, they need to insert these pages. All of this meant not only cost in terms of manual labor, but also cost in terms of separator sheets and so on that was adding on to the cost of the operations of a mailroom typically in these large organizations. The second aspect was classification, right? Most of the legacy IDP software have template-based approaches, or even for unstructured documents, if you were using the legacy IDP systems, they were using large training samples. So typically you need hundreds of documents to train a particular using machine learning methodologies to train those systems. And then what happens? One variation comes in and that doesn't work. And then you need to add that sample back to this. All of this meant like really long implementation cycles. Sometimes it needed extensive coding to understand the differences between those different documents and still classify them consistently. This all meant that they were not getting a very large volume of documents passed through for straight-through processing, and it needed manual intervention to make sure these documents are classified right and being done. So this is the point I take a pause. I'll let my colleague Ken walk you through a quick demo of how AI is helping this process and what does it mean for our customers today to use AI-based or AI-powered intelligent document processing for doing classification itself.
Very good. Good information, Sushil. Let's dig in and see if we can provide a little insight on, what this means to you guys. First thing we're going to look at is kind of give you a little context of what we're looking at in our demo. So it's kind of typical of a mailroom operation, as Sushil said. You have an envelope, a large quantity of envelopes come in, and in each envelope are different documents, right? So here you see we have an envelope, and then inside that envelope, we have different claims. This is a claims demo that we have put together, and down to the next envelope. So this is representative of a mailroom going in and opening envelopes, and here's all the contents of that. Typically, what you're going to have to do is then, if you need those to be identified, you're going to have to use barcoded separator sheets to uniquely identify each of these types of claims. What we're going to demonstrate to you here is running this, setting up the configuration, and we'll get to that later on, setting up the configuration in Capture Suite Cortex, and then utilizing our AI components to classify this. What that means for your front end process is you open envelopes, you remove the contents, and then you stack it all into the scanner and you run it through, and the auto classify takes care of the classification process. So let's look at that side. What we're going to look at now is kind of the results. We're going to look at our QC, which some of you guys are probably familiar with. In the newest versions, we have a thin client, quality control client, and a thin client validation client that we're going to be looking at today.
While that's loading up, Ken, what's happening here? So that batch you just showed us, you just imported it into IBML Cortex?
That's correct. So, there's different ways you can ingest, obviously, through the scanner directly, like physical documents, scanning them in. That's introduced into the system. You can also do it electronically through email, fax, different things like that. So what's happened is, yes, it's been scanned, and then through our post-scan processing, have the configuration for auto-classify set up. These documents are then run through the model and classified, hopefully classified appropriately. So,
Ken, that looks terrible. I can only see reds on the screen.
well, that's not terrible in that this is all that your operator has to examine. If I do show all, then it shows everything.
Oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah, everything that was classified correctly is not flagged. And things that it may have been classified correctly, but you can set confidence levels as part of your configuration that helps you say that I need it to be 75 or 85% confident that it's this, otherwise flag it for somebody to review.
So if it doesn't meet a certain confidence level, you're flagging a human in the loop to do it. So are you telling me that you don't let the AI hallucinate and make up its own thing?
We do not. That is not part of the process.
Okay, that's great. So that's typically one of the big concerns we did hear from our customers about using AI, right? When they started using it in certain production applications, they're very concerned about what they heard as AI hallucinations and how do we overcome that. So you're saying we have a proprietary process of providing a confidence level for the accuracy with which we extract that information, and then we let the customer determine what's the level of accuracy at which they want to bring a human in the loop.
Yes.
And all that I'm seeing here in the red, among all those 25 documents you inputted, you purposely have about 6 documents there that have not been classified right, or at least the AI is suspicious that this is the right classification.
Right.
And it's bringing a human in the loop, which again, in this particular case is you right now going to examine that and say whether it is right or wrong.
Right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And just part of the upfront process is for the AI models, they are trained on your particular types of classification. So you would provide some documents as part of the process, and the model is trained appropriately on those. So that is what drives the classification side. And if you look, like if we just go through and quickly kind of examine these guys, if you see the different kinds of documents that we're looking at, some are structured. I think there's some unstructured documents in here, some with handwriting. There's one with handwriting. So the AI component, the auto classify, is able to properly process all of these different types of documents and classify them appropriately. So if I come back to cancer claim as an operator, and I say yes, this is actually a cancer claim, then I can simply unflag it. If I come to one and say this really is not a Horizon claim, then I can edit it and change it to a commercial claim, so to speak. So that is part of the process of going through as an operator and identifying the claim. So let's go back to the all view. Show all. And let's just kind of go through, if you recall from what we were looking at before through the File Explorer, this is all of these documents are representative here. And here's, the first envelope we looked at. So then all of these documents here were part of that folder or envelope.
And it automatically found those different types and identified the boundaries between those different documents, different transactions itself, as we call it, and then said what type of document it is. Right?
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah, from this standpoint, it looks pretty simple, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes, obviously. Again, what our goal here is straight through processing, so eliminating the upfront of having to utilize barcoded separator sheets and things like that. Somebody had to manually preview these documents and then put the correct barcode sheets in, and then also eliminate the quality control is only have your operators look at what's necessary.
Yeah. So one of the questions we always get with this, Ken, is, okay, this looks great, but how much time did you take to train these AI models to identify these documents correctly? How many documents do you typically need of a particular document type to train these models?
Good question. So typically, for auto classify, we're going to look at getting maybe 20 to 30 documents of each class or classification type, and that will adequately train the model. There is an ongoing process that we can do to help improve that as we go along. So that is part of where you can go back and.
So ideally 20 to 30, minimum about 10 documents of different variations of that particular document type can help train the model itself. So this is very different from traditional machine learning models where we needed very large sample sets of different types of documents of the same variations, right, before you train it.
That's right.
So really for a customer, if one of those document types, one of those forms, for example, the UB04, changed in some way, their ability to retrain the system is very minimal.
Very minimal.
And do they really need to depend on IBML to train these systems, or can that all be done by the customer themselves?
The customer can be trained on the process of doing the modeling themselves.
So they don't have to depend on IBML or any vendor.
They would not have to come back to us to, re-augment some of the models and different things like that.
Fantastic, fantastic. Why don't we move on? Let's switch to the presentation and look at what our next challenge that we spoke about here. Okay, so we spoke about classification. The next big challenge are customers. And this was something that really surprised us a lot, to think about how much of investment still companies have in this particular area. And they had hundreds of people still sitting around manually data entering stuff into the computer. And many times, and we asked, hey, why are you doing that? Why not using IDP technology to be able to extract? They said the confidence level is low, so we anyway have to almost check most of these documents just to make sure that we meet the standards that we want. Obviously, most of our customers are in highly regulated industries and they don't want to capture the wrong information. So the amount of effort they had to put, they said, hey, we might as well manually type some of this. And they did double data key entries and to keep up with all of this. So manual keying is still very common. And when forms change a little bit, that's a challenge. They miss out the data. They have to retrain the system like we did in the case, spoke about in the case of classification. And handwriting really breaks automation is something that we heard from all our customers, that there's no reliable way. Yeah, maybe to some extent, they were able to read handwriting if these were done in typical forms with segregated boxes, but really if it was continuous handprint type of thing, handprint or cursive handwriting, it was very difficult for existing systems to accurately extract the information from these documents. All of this led to customers investing heavily in manual data extraction, and it's a very expensive process. Obviously, when humans are involved, it also means some amount of error and some amount of risk associated with it. And to overcome the risk, more investment, such as double data entry or triple data entry, even sometimes, to make sure that there is no risk involved in that process. So with the AI, what has changed and how does it work with an AI-powered IDP system?
My turn?
Yes. Why don't we switch back to the software and take a look at some extraction capability?
Okay, so we kind of, as you recall just a minute ago, we left off, we were in the quality control client. And so what happens there, obviously, is at some point you get everything resolved, and now the batch will go to the next phase of the processing. And for us, the example we have here is it's going to a validation client going through the extraction process. So we've set up each of these different types of classifications. There's different data fields on there that we want to extract, right? So we've set up the configuration appropriately, and now there's auto index module that we're using for this particular demo that each of these documents are passed through and the required data is extracted off that document. So give me just a second here. So now we're going to connect to our validation client, which then allows us to review how successful that data extraction was. Is there anything that needs to be manually handled? And as we've pointed out, hopefully there's not a lot. And I think one of the last things we're going to do, Sushil, is look at the configuration to give these guys an idea on how this actually works. Again, this is kind of the results of all this processing. So as you see here, we have all of our transactions that we've looked at in QC, quality control, and now we're going to go through and examine some of these to see how the extraction process works here with our auto index. Not all of these particular documents are configured with extraction rules, so we're just going to concentrate on the ones that are. Commercial claim, again, this is a kind of a machine print document, so you would expect pretty high success rate here. But as you can see, we're just pointing out through the highlighting the large language model that we utilize in conjunction with the configuration through Capture Suite. The large language model is actually performing the heavy lift here and doing all of the extraction. I'm just going to click through here. Hopefully at some point we can, if we need to, we can come back and answer any questions. But it's just pointing out that
Ken, that looks like very easy stuff to capture. All nice mesh and print. It really doesn't look like difficult. So I don't think this is very exciting for our company.
It's probably not. You're probably right.
Okay.
So what we're moving to now, we
have some handwriting.
So here's a particular claim that's handwritten. So, and it's fairly neat handwriting, and we've seen examples of some pretty bad handwriting, and it has pretty high success rate here. But again, we're just going through, and it's able to, without, again, any templating or pointing out different areas that it needs to look. This information can live in all different areas of different forms. And the large language model component of the AI is able to process that and find out what you're, find the data that you're wanting to extract. So now let's move real quickly to one where, as you can see, everything that's green means, it extracted data properly with a high confidence, right? Okay. So now we look at one that's got the dreaded red flag question mark, and that means, hey, somebody needs to manually take a look at this. Okay. So again, here's a form. It did find the hospital, Grandview Hospital, handwriting. It couldn't find an address because there's not one on here. Okay. So again, this would be part of your rules where either it's a required field and somebody has to manually key it in, or they can just leave it blank. Here's an interesting one. It found the first name is blank. It's indicating that it's found it, but because of how we set this up with our confidence levels, we basically, in this instance, forced it to fail.
So let me make sure my eyes are good enough to read. So in this particular case, it's saying it's failed because it had only a 50%.
59%.
59%. So my eyes are not good, Ken. 59% accuracy for this, and you had a higher level of confidence that you required for that particular field.
That's correct.
Okay. So how does somebody capture that field now that you know it's not thing? Do they type it in, or can you just double click? Or
the preferred way would be you would find where it actually is on the page.
Okay.
Through your process, and here you can see in green it's indicating, and this is OCR'd. This has been OCR'd as part of the process. Okay. So it's saying here, just click on here, and instead of having to manually type it in,
okay, so it did read it right, but it was just not confident that it is the right thing.
That's right.
And that's why it triggered it for a manual data entry at that point. Okay.
Same thing for Riley.
Okay.
And so on and so forth. I think we have other ones, but you get the drift. I think an important thing here to look is just the variation of the types of documents and then the extraction process that's that's successful as it looks for this first name, last name, and different areas and things like that. So that's the goal here.
Okay.
Right.
Great. Should we switch back to the presentation?
I'm going to try.
Okay. So we spoke about manual data capture. What's the next one? Implementation complexity. So this is all great. It looks magical that it's able to extract, and the significant amount of the data is extracted for straight-through processing, and only the ones that fail the confidence were thrown up for manual data entry. But one of the challenges our customers always face with their current IDP solutions is long implementation times, dependence on vendors that we spoke about, and time to show ROI for any investment in IDP. And this is because it is complex, right? So when the formatting changes, they have to either draw boxes again or write code really to look through unstructured information to be able to do it. And sometimes our customers are not able to make all those changes to the system by themselves. They have to call on the vendors. Then there's a professional services bill that comes along. They have to get those approved through the system and then get into the implementation itself. All of this means it's not quick enough for customers to adopt a change unless they maintain sufficiently good tech resources within their organizations to be able to learn and do all of those things. How is this different from an implementation perspective now with AI? So almost all of us in this audience have used AI, and we are all used to typing natural language prompts or questions to our chat bots, whether it is ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever it is, and it gives us answers. What does this look like in the world of capture today?
Yeah. So let's take a look. If some of you guys may be familiar with your job setup configuration, what's new as part of the AI capture, the Cortex AI components for auto-classify, auto-index, and auto-form is this ability to go into your job and through this new validation tab, set up, for instance, what you're interested in capturing or extracting from that. As you can see here, what I want you to key on is this name column, and basically you're specifying through this one field in summary, what you're looking for. The name of the doctor, address, first name, last name. What you're going to find is you're going to have a pretty high success rate just utilizing that as the configuration component. All these other fields control some other aspect of it. We were talking about the confidence levels and things like that. That's all part of this. If I open up, for instance, this guy, we can start to see, here's the confidence level and things like that you have access to. But more importantly, let's talk about what if you're testing this out and you're not extracting the correct data? Then through natural language prompts, you're able to help the large language model determine what you're trying to do. And as Sushil has indicated, that's not programming. There's no code, special code you have to understand. It's literally just like if you went through whatever your favorite AI, it's using a large language model, and you're typing in, hey, I want to see so-and-so, and it comes back. Well, that's what you're doing here through this query text component.
Let me make sure I understood what you just said, Ken, in a non-technical manner. So first and foremost, identify certain fields on the document by naming the field what you want. So for example, name of doctor, first name, last name, address, social security. That's the field name you're giving. But the field name by itself serves as a prompt to the AI engine to find the data from the document. Now, if you want to make it even more accurate, right, if there are specific characteristics, for example, you want to have the first name of the doctor, the last name of the doctor, compared to the first name of the patient and the last name of the patient, you can give it some additional context by typing in those natural language prompts under the query that makes the finding of the information and extraction of that information even more accurate.
That's correct.
Did I understand you right?
You are right on top of it.
Okay. Okay, not bad. Maybe next time I'll do the demo myself.
I think that's a good idea.
That's great. What else do we need to see here?
You just have the ability over here to specifically target different fields on different forms. For instance, here we're not doing any validation or extraction. Here we're doing a different thing. So you have that ability, again, through no programming, just through job configuration to set up what you're extracting.
Great. So over and above this, Ken, sometimes our customers have requirements very specific to format the output data in a specific format, right? So for example, a global organization, if it's formatting date here in the US, they would probably do MMDDYYY, whereas in Europe, it could be DDMMYYY, right?
Right.
So in those scenarios, I'm assuming we have capabilities to output format whatever we want here with those special codes.
Through just another tab on this configuration. You can actually do character replacements. You can do reformatting a certain specific way. Like if it finds dates in different formats, you can make that uniform and things like that.
Yeah, so irrespective of what the AI read, you could always output the data in a specific format that is to stay consistent with your data systems within your organization, within the standards as per your organization. Fantastic. Should we move on? Is there anything else that we need to show here?
No, there's so much more, but I think that's all we can touch on right now.
I'm also conscious about the time. We want to give enough time for our customers to ask questions, if any. Let's get on with this. Okay. So one of this slide I wanted to share really specifically is one of the big questions that come to our customers' mind the moment you say, hey, we are using large language models and an AI in our system now to be able to make your life simpler, is one of the big questions we've consistently got, especially from the type of customers that IBML has, which are extremely large enterprise organization, is, hey, we don't feel safe with AI. We are not sure what's happening with our data, what's happening with our documents. We don't want to share our documents or data or any of this. So at least with the IBML Cortex model, I'm not sure this is the case for every IDP solution out there with AI capabilities, but at least with the IBML Cortex model, we have a fully contained AI model implemented in your environment. What does that mean? You can either implement our AI solution within your servers, within your on-prem infrastructure, or on your private cloud under firewall. So you're not giving access to it to IBML or anybody else or any other large language model that's used under the hood. So your documents remain within your control. Your data that you're extracting from those documents remain within your control. And the training models that you're developing, your intellectual property for those documents that you're processing also remains within your model. There's really no dependence for security on a third-party cloud provider or IBML for it, and you stay in control of this. This was a very important point that we needed to address, at least with the type of customers we have, because they feel comfortable that way, that they are able to adopt AI. The trust issue with AI that people still have, that they're able to adopt AI within their organizations with this type of an implementation. Anything else you'd like to add about that, Ken?
I think the biggest thing from a scalability aspect is you're in control of that as a customer. You can, if you need it to process faster because of your throughput requirements, you just add more GPUs to your processing system.
Okay. Just a summary slide here, really. With IBML Cortex, you can take inputs from any type of source. So our scanners, the IBML scanners, are the fastest way for you to digitize documents and get them in. But it's possible that you have IBML scanners only in your mailroom, but you have a ton of other scanners from different types of manufacturers spread all across your organization that is digitizing documents for you. We can take all of those inputs into Cortex. We can also use Cortex to run those scanners if you feel that's a better way. We can take inputs from email. We can take inputs from mobile devices, faxes, or digital files. Whatever is your source of input doesn't matter for Cortex. We can take all of those input. We can take that, use the auto-classify capabilities now as part of Cortex, which uses AI algorithms to and large language models to process that information, classify it, identify the document type. By providing the document type, you provide more context to that document. You can then extract the relevant metadata from each of those documents itself. We have quality control and validation capabilities to be able to make sure that the information classified is right. If it is not sure, Ken showed us a great way of how we throw that up for human in the loop to make sure the accuracy is there, while the majority of the documents do straight through processing itself. We then can extract the information using, again, AI capabilities, whether it's auto-index AI or auto-forms AI capabilities to do that. Last but not the least, we can output all of that data, whether it's to your whether it's to your enterprise content management system, ERP system, if it's invoices that you're processing, or your CRM, or your loan origination system, whatever is your system of record that you need this data to go to, we can create the integrations for you to send the data to those systems of record itself. That's about it we had in terms of slides to share today and information to do. We are about 40 minutes into this call. I do see there is a question in chat probably. Let me make sure. Please show us a flagged item with 77.37 confidence.
I'm not sure I can do that.
We have, I'm not sure. Anyway, you want to check what are the different confidence levels? Yeah, just so Gene, to explain that, right? You can set up the level of confidence you need for every document type, whether it's classification or indexing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it doesn't meet that threshold, if your threshold is 77.37, then if it doesn't meet that, then it'll throw that up for human in the loop. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it meant in the configuration or the actual quality control. Let's see.
Looks like Gene is typing something, so we can.
Okay.
Does AI explain why it was red flag?
Oh, yeah. So let me go back to the quality control. It does, just by you're able to view the confidence levels there, the minimum confidence level, and also what the AI returned from that perspective. So it does provide that. If you look here in the columns, we have a classification confidence of 77 point, there you go, 77.37. The auto confidence level that was set for this was 76. So this guy here, that's a good question. Like, yeah, so it failed the confidence level there.
Okay. So so the answer to that question Gene asked is we don't provide more explanation currently other than the confidence level.
That's correct.
Because we want the interface to be simple.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's kind of the answer to the current situation. But what is coming down the pipe, Gene, is we have the ability to provide that information as part of ongoing training for these documents. So currently, you're not able to pass this information to like a super user who's able to look into it and then be able to retrain your models. But that is a feature that's coming down the line.
All right.
Supervised learning.
Most all red flags.
Yeah.
Yes. So you would need to unflag or approve by unflagging or changing the classification before it moves to the next phase.
Yeah, you would typically clear the batch of documents, clear all the red flags on a given batch of documents before you push it to the next step of the process itself. Yeah. Thanks, Gene, for those questions. Any other questions we have? Don't be shy. Ken likes to talk.
Not as much as you.
Okay, looks like no other questions. Greg, over to you.
Thank you, gentlemen. If you think of any other questions or you have any other or want any more information, please feel free to reach out. The session was being recorded and will be posted to our website here in the next week or so. And thank you everyone for coming. And this concludes the session. And I hope everyone has a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.